Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Sorry for making you wait for 6 minutes. Okay, so I am having some problem. That's why I just can't join at right at 11 o'clock. So I hope there will be no problem. Today we'll try to complete this chapter. Okay, is the slide visible to you all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, fine. So in the last class we have already covered the electric potential due to a charged conductor as well as due to a uniformly charged ring. Now we will move on to the last portion, that is your electric equipotential surface. Okay. Now what is basically an equipotential surface? Okay, we will study about all those things, but first let us try to understand it in a very simple manner. Okay. Now just imagine that I am having a source over here, an AC source, right? And suppose, let us say, the phase terminal. This is the phase wire, or sometimes we call it as hot wire, and it is connected to a conductor which is hanging in air. The neutral point is grounded. Okay, the neutral point is grounded. Now suppose on this surface I have different points, right? I'll take a voltmeter over here. I'll take a voltmeter, AC voltmeter, and I will connect one of the terminal to one of these points and the other terminal to the ground. It will, let us say, it is going to show me 230 volts. Okay, it is going to show me 230 volt. Now suppose I will move this terminal from this point and I will connect it to this point. So what is your expectation? Yes, can anybody tell me how much is the voltage that is going to be displayed on the voltmeter? Yes, any idea?
So, what was the question?
The question is very simple. I have a source over here, AC source. Okay. The phase wire or the hot wire is connected to a conductor sheet over here, right? And the other end is connected to a voltmeter, AC voltmeter like this. So this is an AC voltmeter and this is the source. I'll take the other terminal of this voltmeter and I will connect it to a point over here on the set. If this is the case, then the voltmeter, let me tell that it is showing a reading of 230 volt. Now in play, instead of connecting it to this point, suppose I will connect it to this point. I will take this other terminal of the voltmeter and I will connect it to this other point. Now if I am going to do that, then can you please tell me what will be the reading of the voltmeter?
So, same
So it
230
might
volt.
be changed or not.
Yes,
So it might be changed or not.
it might change. Okay, let me clarify another thing. This conductor is completely homogeneous. If that
Okay,
is,
sir.
that is the case, then what will be the expected reading? What will be the
230.
expected reading? Yes, yes, it will be 230 volt. Okay, that means at the point 1, if I am touching the other terminal of the voltmeter, it was showing me 230 volt. Next, what I did is that I moved the terminal and connected at the point 2 on the same homogeneous sheet of conductor. Now, even in this case, it is going to show me 230 volt. So, if this is the case, then I can say that if I am having a homogeneous conductor like this, okay, of some dimension, not a very big dimension, maybe this is 1 meter by 1 meter or something like that. In that case, obviously, wherever I will touch the other terminal of the voltmeter, the reading is going to be the same. That means, as I have told you in the last class, the phase terminal is at a higher potential, whereas the neutral terminal of the source is always considered as zero potential. That means one of the ends is fixed at zero potential, whereas the other one can be used to connect at any of the points on this sheet of homogeneous metal sheet. Now, if this is the case, every time it is going to show me a reading of 230 volt. So in other word, I can say all the points on this homogeneous sheet of metal is going to have the same potential. Okay, if this is the thing, then in other words I can say that this sheet of metal is a equipotential surface. That means wherever we are going, all the points on the sheet of metal is going to have the same potential. Okay, so if this is the case, naturally if I am going to measure the potential with respect to the neutral point, then I am going to record a potential difference of 230 volt. So in a very simple manner, this is known as a equipotential surface, right? Now, one of the other bright example of equipotential surface is the surface of the ground. Okay, is the surface of the ground. Now, every time whenever okay, you people are computer science students, so you may not read all about this electrical stuff, but let me tell you or give you some idea that whenever we are trying to generate electricity, we make use of a device known as a AC generator. That AC generator is having a popular name in electrical engineering, that is known as an alternator. Okay, so usually what happens, the alternator, one of the terminals or the neutral terminal of the alternator is always grounded. That means it is always at 0 volt. Now if you want, you can just take one wire and connect it to different loads. Okay, so suppose let us say this is house number 1. Okay, house number 1. Next I will take the wire and connect it to house number 2. Now obviously, as you all know that every energy source is a 2-terminal device. Maybe it is 3-terminal device, but we are not going into all those things. Let us consider a simple single phase AC source. So it is obviously going to have 2 number of terminals. One is the phase terminal, the other one is the neutral terminal. Now if this is the case, I can simply connect the neutral terminal to the ground. Okay, this is the surface of the earth, and the other terminal of the supply will be from the ground. That means every household will receive power through only a single wire known as the phase wire. The other wire can be locally connected to the ground near to the house. Okay, now why is it so? Because in other words we can say the ground or the earth is a equipotential surface, because wherever you go on the surface of the earth, the potential is always going to be at 0 volt, right? Is always going to be at 0 volt. That means anywhere on the earth, whether it is in India or whether it is in Japan or whether it is in Canada, wherever you go, the earth itself is going to behave like a equipotential surface, because everywhere the potential of the ground or the earth is considered to be 0 volt. Okay, is it clear to you all? Yes, or is there any doubt? A very simple thing. Okay, that means
Yes,
yes. Okay, so as I have given one example that if I am going to connect a voltmeter between any point on the surface of the metal, homogeneous metal, and the ground, it is going to give me the same reading. That means any point on the surface of this homogeneous metal sheet is going to be same. That means all the points are going to be at the same electric potential, and therefore it is sometimes known as an equipotential surface. So let us now formally define what is this equipotential surface. So as it is written over here, that an equipotential surface is a 3-dimensional surface on which the electric potential V is the same at every point on the surface. Okay. Now suppose I will have, let us say, a conductor which is in the shape of a pipe or a rectangle. So this is let us say a paraloid. So this is a paraloid. Now this is absolutely homogeneous in nature. Now suppose I will connect one of the terminals. Suppose let us say I will connect a battery. Now the positive one is connected over here, and suppose the negative one is connected to a DC voltmeter. Forget about the AC. Let us now talk about DC. Even in this case, if we touch the other terminal at the end, at any of the ends, then if the metal is homogeneous and it is having a very less resistance, then moreover it is going to give you the same reading as that of the first end. So in other words, I can say throughout the entire surface of this conductor, the potential is going to be the same. Therefore, into a very good assumption, we can say this is a equipotential surface. Now, why I told to a good assumption or accuracy, it is because as we move along the length of this conductor, okay, just imagine if this conductor is 10 centimeter, then it's okay. If it is 1 meter, then also it is okay. It is going to give you the same reading. But as it moves on, maybe it is let us say 100 meters, then obviously there will be some difference in the voltage, and it is because of the inherent resistance of the conductor. So resistance part we will study after some time. Maybe in the chapter number 24 and 25, we'll study about the resistance. So at least we can say that if I am having a conductor and all the points on the conductor or on the metal or any surface is at the same potential, then we call it as a equipotential surface. And remember, your equipotential surface is a three-dimensional surface and it is not two-dimensional. Previously, I told you about this sheet. This sheet was it was two-dimensional. Suppose I have a wire like this, and this wire is a one-dimensional configuration, and over here also if the length is not very large, then the electric potential at each and every point on this line or on this piece of wire is going to be having the same potential. So this is a one-dimensional one. Similarly, I talked about this example of a homogeneous sheet of metal. So this is two-dimensional, and even in this case, you are going to, if the dimension is not very large, then all the points are supposed to be at the same electric potential. But in true sense, if we will generalize, every equipotential surface is a three-dimensional surface. Okay, so the word surface should not be used, but since we have already have the knowledge of a closed surface, so we can say that equipotential surface is a 3D surface on which the electric potential V is same at each and every point on the three-dimensional surface. I hope everybody have understood the fundamental concept. Now let us move on to the next point. If a test charge Q0 is moved from point A to B, the electric potential energy VQ0 remains constant. Okay. Now, obviously, now we all know that your V is equal to U, that is the potential energy divided by a test charge, let us say, or a simple charge Q0, let us say. Now, obviously, since your V is going to remain constant on a equipotential surface, and obviously the magnitude of the charge is also constant, therefore the product, that is U equal to VQ0, is also going to remain constant throughout the entire three-dimensional surface of the equipotential surface. Okay, clear? So since your potential energy divided by Q0 is equal to the potential, since the potential is going to remain same throughout the entire surface of the equipotential surface and Q0 remaining constant, therefore the potential energy is also going to remain constant. Now a very simple question I am going to ask you people. Okay, so let us say this sheet or this piece of metal is an equipotential surface. Now suppose there is a point A over here and there is a point B over here, and I am interested to move a charge located at A to that of the point B. So I want to move it to the point B. Can anybody tell me what will be the work done? Yes? Yes, can anybody tell me what will be the work done? A simple intelligent question. Let me see who are the bright ones.
AQ square upon R.
No, just tell me what will be the value of this W. What will be the work done in transporting a charge from the point A to the point B on a equipotential surface?
0.
Yes, of course it is going to be 0. Yes, very good. So it is definitely going to be 0. Now why is it so? Because we have already studied that W is nothing but the negative of the change. Since in the previous point I told you that the potential energy is going to remain constant, therefore there will be no change in the energy, or in other words I can say your change in potential energy on an equipotential surface is definitely going to be 0. So if this is the case, then the work done is also equal to 0. Okay, so very simple things. So for the first thing is that each and every point on the surface is going to be at the same potential, number one. Number two, the potential energy is going to remain constant throughout the entire equipotential surface. Number three, the work done in moving a charge on the equipotential surface is obviously going to be 0, because since energy is going to remain constant, therefore the change in energy is equal to 0. Okay, so in this way you may find a simple 2 marks question that prove that the work done in transporting a charge on an equipotential surface is equal to 0. So you can write it in this way, that on an equipotential surface your V is going to remain constant. So Q0 being a constant, work done, potential energy is going to remain constant. So if potential energy is constant and W is nothing but it is equal to du, therefore this, or we can say minus of du, or we can simply write it as minus du, minus delta u. In this case the change is also going to be equal to 0. So the work done is obviously going to be equal to 0. Okay, so I hope everybody have understood the concept. So if you people have understood it, please excuse me for a minute, I have a urgent call. हाँ ताको कही देछि को मेडिसिन से को हाँ सुन तो मु ताको कही देछि हाँ मु आउतरे कही दउछि हले आ भाई हाँ मु कही देछि हाँ ओहो नहीं ताको एक्चुअली मु आपन कथाटा कहि नथिल ना, मु कहितले मु निजे जाई खेली ना, एक्चुअली मोर क्लास आज पूरा पैक्ड क्लास माने एबे गोटे से पिले आसीबो तो अरे आपण ना भाई ताला आपण आसीबो दरकार नहीं, आपण बिल्कुल आसीबो दरकार नहीं, मु चल जाई नै आसी हला ओह काम अछि दरा आसो कि मो पे इंडिविजुअल आसीबो दरकार नहीं। अच्छा अच्छा ओ तार बाइक थिला कार पर नहीं ना, अच्छा अच्छा सुनो दो ने जो फाबिफ्लू जोटा अछि रेमडिसिविर टैबलेट टा ताकू कहिछि गोटे डीजी जेड बिली गोटे विटामिन कहिछि आउ के मास्क चारटा खंडे दे ग्लोव्स चारटा खंडे दे देथियो चारटा माने चारटा पेयर नहीं आपण दियंतु नि ताकू कहंतु से पैसा न जाबो हैला आउ सुन दो ग्लोव्स भाई मु आज हॉस्पिटल जेबे ना एडमिट करिया को आज ग्लोव्स हेले आउ एबे तो हां मेन जो बैक्टीरिया मरिया किसी असुविधा नहीं, भाइरस मरिया दरकार। अच्छा अच्छा भाई धर भाइरस टा ग्लोव्स ऊपर मरि जाउची ताले कोविड टा काई भलो ही करबी, दैट मींस ताला बो माने गुटे पेयर ही मते दियो हला। आ सुनो दो ତାକୁ ଟିକେ କହିଦେଇଛେ କେତେ ଟଙ୍କା ହେଲା ବି ସେଇଟା ସେ କହିଦେଇଛେ ମୁଁ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ହାତରେ ପଇସାଟା ବି ଦେଇଦେବି ହେଲା। ହଉ ରହିଲି, ନମସ୍କାର। Hello everybody, is my voice audible to you all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Actually, I am in a trouble, so maybe there will be some sort of disturbances. Please tolerate it. Okay, so we have gained some ample idea about the equipotential surface. Now let us study it in detail and see what actually this equipotential surface looks like. Okay, now just have a look at the figure 1. So over here, I have drawn the single two-dimensional figure of a equipotential surface. Now, it is only for a positive charge, and we all know that if I am having a positive point charge, then the electric field lines are going to radially move out in all the three dimensions. Now, obviously, over here you are only seeing a two dimension, but truly speaking, it is in all the three dimensions. That means the electric field is going to move out just like spheres, or just like the ray of sun coming out. Okay, so if that is the case, now let us consider the first contour over here. The blue color one is the contour. Okay, now this contour, everywhere this sphere, now this contour is not a circle, it is a sphere. Please remember it, because this is a three-dimensional surface. Equipotential surface is three-dimensional, so naturally this one is going to be a sphere. Now everywhere on this sphere the radius is going to be the same, and we all know that potential is given by the expression q by 4 pi epsilon 0 r. So q is constant, that is the magnitude of the source of the charge, that is this one. 4 pi epsilon 0 again is constant, so the only variable one is r. Now for this particular contour, or for this particular sphere, three-dimensional sphere, the radius is same. So everywhere the potential is going to be the same. Just look over here. Suppose I have a point over here, or I have a point over here. Everywhere you will see the electric potential is going to remain constant. Okay, maybe it will be 30, because in this example it is given 30 volt. That means at this point it will be 30 volt. At this point also it will be 30 volt. Similarly, if I will move on to the interior, or I will move on to the second contour. Okay, now you all know the electric field for a positive charge increases as we move towards it. So if the A is decreases, so naturally the potential is going to increase. Now in this case, as you can see, this radius of this particular sphere is less than the previous one. So naturally your R is going to be less. So naturally the value of the electric potential is going to be more than that of the previous sphere. So, but one thing is very sure, that everywhere on this surface, spherical surface enclosing this positive charge, it is going to be 50 volt. Okay, so this is also going to be an equipotential surface. Is it clear to you all? Everybody, is it absolutely clear to you all or not? Or once again I will help you to understand. Yes? Isn't my voice audible to you all?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay. So is there anyone with any sort of doubt? I hope these are very simple things. There is nothing to worry about it. All these are damn easy. Okay. Now let us move on to the case of an electric dipole. Okay. So as we all know that in case of a dipole, we must be having a positive and a negative charge of equal magnitude, but separated by a very small distance. Okay. So over here, as you can see, I have a contour which is a straight line over here, and this is at 0 volt. Okay. Now I cannot explain much detail about it, because you people have not calculated, or it is in your course there is no way to calculate the electric field due to a electric dipole. So this concept is not taught to you, but at least from common sense we can say Now over here at this point, one of the electric field from the positive charge is entering, the other one is moving out. So at this point, it may be considered that the potential is going to be zero. Why it is so? Because here it is positive. Now suppose I will place a test charge Q0 over here. Now it is positive. So at this at this point, the electric potential will be plus Q by 4 pi epsilon 0 R. Okay, 4 pi epsilon 0 R. That is the distance. Let us say R is the distance from this one. Similarly, for the other one, for the negative charge, it is going to be minus Q by 4 pi epsilon 0 R, because this is symmetrical. Okay. Now the thing is that since your electric potential is a scalar quantity, we just can add it by means of algebraic addition. And if we will do that, it is again going to result in a zero. So that is why this particular, can anybody tell me what type of configuration this particular area is going to form as a equipotential surface? So in this previous case, I was telling you that the equipotential surface is a sphere. Now can anybody tell me what type of configuration this particular equipotential surface will have? Whether it will be a line? Yes? Somebody is trying to tell? Yes, please be loud.
Plane.
It will be?
A plane.
Very good, excellent. It will be a plane. It cannot. It will be a 2D one. It cannot be a volume. Why? Because if it is going to be a volume, then the potential, it is no more going to be a potential surface. So we can say if I will insert a plane in between exactly the midpoint of the distance separating the dipole, then the electric potential or the equipotential surface is going to have a voltage of zero at each and every point. Now, if we will move further on this side, again, you are going to have the effect of the negative charge individually. And if I will move on this side, it is only the positive charges. So naturally, again, these are going to be equipotential surface, but the thing is that they're again going to be spheres. Now let us move on to two equal positive charges. Well and good. So two equal charges are going to repel equal like charges are going to repel each other. Now let us consider the case of two positive charges. So if I am going to bring two positive charges, then obviously they will be repelling each other. But if forcibly I will bring it very close to each other, okay, then it is going to definitely form an equipotential surface. Okay. Now, one important thing you should note, that is the last important point. Okay, I have not explained it. I would have explained it when I would have come to this point. So we are already over here. So let me explain it. Please go through this point. No point on an equipotential surface can be at two different potentials. Okay, that is well and good. We have already studied. So the next part is important. So equipotential surfaces for different potentials can never intersect each other. Or in other words, I can say, if I am having two equipotential surfaces which are maintained at two different potentials. Suppose there is a now this equipotential surface is maintained at 30 volt. Now this one is maintained at 50 volt. Now obviously they can never intersect each other. Okay. Now the same thing, let us try to analyze over here. Now, if you will see this 8 shape, now this is quite looking like an 8 shape. So here one confusion may arise. It is intersecting. No, actually it is not intersecting. It is in this manner, but it is very close to each other. But they can never intersect each other. Why? Okay. Oh, sorry, I am sorry. These two, at one point, they will intersect each other. Why they will intersect each other? Because this is positive charge and this is positive charge. But moreover, they are maintained at the same potential. So let us say this surface is maintained at a potential of 50 volts. So you can see from the figure that the potential at this point is maintained at 50 volt. So if this is the case, then they have the liberty to intersect or touch each other, doesn't matter. But in case they are at a different potential, now you see over here it is at a different potential and this one is at a differential potential, and since both of them are repelling each other, therefore their equipotential surface, even though they are maintained at the same potential, still they are not touching each other. And this is only because of the fact that the electric field lines are never going to intersect each other. Okay, now electric field is very much related to that of your potential. So in the next chapter we'll study about the main relationship between your electric field and electric potential. So if two electric field lines cannot intersect each other, then obviously your electric potential or equipotential surface, they also cannot intersect each other. But as I told you, if forcibly I will keep on bringing these two together, obviously the lines are not going to intersect each other. But at some point, these lines, now just have a look at these lines. These two lines, one is coming out from the right side positive charge, the other one is coming from the left side of the positive charge. And if they will move on towards infinite, then somewhere they will be meeting each other. But that is quite hypothetical. Similarly over here, they are touching each other, but they are just touching each other. That means they are not intersecting. Okay, so please be very clear about this point. Are you clear about this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So whatever we have studied over there, that is mentioned over here. So here I have written that field lines and equipotential surfaces are always mutually perpendicular to each other. Obvious thing. Now just have a look at this equipotential surface. Just have a look over here. You will see that this electric field line is perpendicular to this equipotential surface contour. Similarly, this one is also perpendicular. So in this case, this is also perpendicular. So the most important, another important property is that the equipotential surface and the electric field lines are always mutually perpendicular to each other. Okay. Next point, in general, field lines are curves and equipotential surfaces are curved surface. Okay. They are always curved most of the time. For the special case of uniform field in which the field lines are straight and parallel, and are equally spaced, the equipotential surfaces are parallel planes perpendicular to the field line. Okay, so what is that? Let us see. Now suppose this is an uniform electric field. Okay, this is a bunch of uniform electric field. Now let us say I have a source like this. The source is generating some electric field line just like a gun. The electric field lines are moving like this. Okay, from the entire surface of this. Okay, in this case, the equipotential surface is not going to be curved, rather it is going to be perpendicular to that of this electric field lines. Okay, and the equipotential surfaces are going to be parallel to each other. So this is one equipotential surface. The other equipotential surface again is going to be parallel to the previous one. So this is how the equipotential surfaces are going to look like. But over here you are seeing they are curves, and these curves may not be parallel to each other. But over here, in case of uniform electric field, the equipotential surfaces will always be parallel to each other, and moreover, they are going to be perpendicular to the electric field lines. I hope everybody have understood. This is a very simple thing. Next important thing. The electric field need not be constant over an equipotential surface. Of course, on a given equipotential surface, the potential V has the same value. Please excuse me. Please be online. Okay. DG Z 0 पर ଆଉ ତ କିଛି କହିନଥିଲି ତ ମାସ୍କ କଥା କହୁଥିଲି ଆପଣ ଏଇ ଗ୍ଲୋଭ୍ସ କଥା କହୁଥିଲେ ଗ୍ଲୋଭ୍ସ କଥା କଲେ ଆଉ हाँ दिखा के तो हाँ डीजे सिरप और 32 में कौन सा 400 ठीक है हाँ? ଖାଇବା ଆମ ଦାଦା ଲେଖି ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି ନା କଣ 5 4 ଏଇଭଳିଆ କଣ ଦିଆ ହେଇଛି ଆଚ୍ଛା ସେ କେତେଟା ଦଉଛି କି ଦିଟା ପ୍ୟାକେଟ ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ୟାକେଟ 34 34 17 34 ଆଚ୍ଛା ହଉ ଆଜି ତ ମିଠା ହସ୍ପିଟାଲ ଯିବ ପୁଅ ପାଇଁ ଯୋଉ ହବ ଆଉ ସେ ଯୋଉ ସିରପଟା କେତେଟା ଅଛି ଏଇଟା ମିଠା କେତେ ହେଲେ ସେଟା ଅଛି अच्छा ତାର ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ଟ୍ୟାବଲେଟଟା ଲେଖିଲେ ଟ୍ୟାବଲେଟଟା ଆଭେଲେବଲ୍ ନାହିଁ ଗୋଟେ ସେ ସିରପଟା ଦେଇଦେବୁ ଆଉ ହଁ ହଉ ହଉ ରହିବି Okay, are you all online? My voice is audible to you all?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, over here, let me explain this point. This point says that the electric field may not be constant over the equipotential surface, but obviously the potential is going to remain the same throughout the entire surface. Now, let us see what does it mean. That means every time your electric field may not be constant on the equipotential surface. Now just have a look at this equipotential surface. Now this is a sphere and this sphere everywhere the electric field is going to remain constant as well as the electric potential is going to remain constant. So in this particular case, your electric field and your equipotential and the electric potential, both of them are going to remain constant throughout the equipotential surface. But now let us come back to this position. Now this one is also an equipotential surface. This is looking like a 8. Okay. Now over here in the middle portion you can see it is somewhat a little bit downwards. Okay. It is somewhat like this. Over here again it is like this. So the distance to this point and the distance to this point are both of them different. So if the distance is different, naturally the electric field is going to be different. Okay. But because of the interaction between the two charges, positive like charges, the potentials are going to remain the same throughout. Okay. So in this type of case, you may have the electric field to be different at the equipotential surface. But as the name suggests, the potential may be same or is definitely going to be same throughout the surface. You understood, or once again I will tell? Yes, anyone with any sort of doubt, please ask me. Okay, so one thing is very sure that on an equipotential surface, your potential is definitely going to remain constant, but the electric field may or may not remain constant. Now, let us move on to the last portion of this particular chapter, that is your potential gradient, or rather I will say electric potential gradient. Over here, I will introduce one very unique operator, that is your del operator. So we'll study about this del operator and we will conclude this chapter. Now, this entire derivation is self-explanatory. So let us see. Now we all know, because we have already studied, that the work done in moving a charge from point A to the point B is nothing but the integration of f vector dot dl vector with the limits from A to B, right? Now In case of electric field, your F is equal to Q into electric field. So F is a vector and E is a vector as well. So over here you can see that in place of this F, we have replaced it by means of Q0 E vector. Okay, so this one is absolutely a very simple thing to understand. Now we all know that your potential WAB is nothing but it is WA minus WB, or sorry, it is equal to WA by Q0. Okay, if we divide the work done from moving a charge from the point A to B by the magnitude of the same charge, then we are to get the potential difference VAB. And again, we have studied that your potential difference VAB is nothing but the potential or the difference of the potential at the point A and the point B. So in other words, I can write that your WAB by Q0. Now you see, where is Q0 over here? It is over here. Now if I divide it throughout these two equations, on the right hand side by Q0, sorry, this is your left hand side, and the right hand side by Q0, then I will be coming to this one. Okay, because this is nothing but VAB, and VAB, as you all know, is equal to VA minus VB. So this is equal to integration from A to B E vector dot DL vector. Okay, so VB is equal to A to B. Okay, now why I have written A to B? Now, as we all know that when I am going to move a charge from point A to B, then there is a change in the potential energy. Now, just we have already known that W is equal to minus delta U, that is the change in the potential energy. Now, if I want to make it positive, then what I have to consider? I have to consider that the charge is moving from point A to B. Okay, I have to write it in this manner. So if this is the case, then obviously our path will also change. So the limits are now from B to A. Now, if I want to connect it with this equation, then the limits should be of the same, upper limit and lower limit should be same. So for that, I put a minus sign over here and integrate it from A to B dV. Now here, the students may have confusion. If you are having confusion, tell me. I will clear it once again. Yes, anybody having any sort of doubt, please clarify. Right over here, otherwise you cannot understand. Yes, is there anyone who has not understood this step? Okay, fine. So ultimately we can say that minus dV integrated from A to B is equal to this one, because this one is this and this one is equal to minus dV. So if we will integrate these two like this and then differentiate it, then we are going to get dV minus dV is equal to E vector dot DL vector. Is there any doubt over here? Shall I move forward? Shall I move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very simple mathematics, looks complicated but damn easy. So minus dV is equal to E vector dot DL vector. Okay, now what is this dV? Now dV is the differential voltage or potential. Now this dV, we all know that dV is the differential coefficient, whereas del V is the partial differential coefficient. Okay, what is the difference between them? Now you see, suppose I have a three-dimensional surface or a volume like this. Please try to understand the concepts. Now let us say this is the axis, this is the x-axis, this is your y-axis, and let us say this is your z-axis. Okay, now your potential is going to be different in different direction. Okay, Now, for example, suppose I will take a long conductor. Now, if I measure it at this point and measure the voltage at this point, they may be different, because here in between these 2 points the resistance may be different. Whereas if I measure between this point and this point, it may be same. Why? Because the longitudinal resistance may be different from the transitional resistance, longitudinal resistance. That means your potential is definitely going to depend on the components of in which direction I am measuring. So if that is the case, then I can express this minus dV in terms of partial differentiations like this: minus del V by del X into dx. Now, mathematically, these two will get cancelled out and ultimately we are going to get the same thing. Okay? So similarly, this entire dV can be expressed in this manner. If you are having any doubt, please tell me your mathematics. Is there anyone who is not able to understand this concept? Please tell me. Okay? So everyone, I am sure that everybody have understood. Or is there any doubt? Fine. So at least you all come to know that your dV, okay, can be expressed in terms of partial components, partial differential components, del V by del X into dx, minus del V by del Y into dy, minus del V by del Z into dz. Also, your E and dl, these are two vector quantities, and these can be expressed in their component form as Ex Ax cap plus Ey Ay cap plus Ez Az cap. TL again is a vector quantity, again it can be expressed in this manner. But look at this equation. This equation demands E vector dot dl vector. So if we will write it in components, we are going to get this figure. Okay. So this one and this one, just compare term by term. So this term is having x component is having a coefficient of minus dB by dx, and here dx is having the component or coefficient ex. So these two are going to be the same. Similarly, the coefficient for dy is minus dB by del y, del v by del y, and over here it is ey. So these two must be same. Similarly, your minus del v by del z is the coefficient of dz is this one, and the coefficient of this is ez. So naturally, again, these two must be same. And if, finally, we can write that is equal to minus of del v by del z. Now this is a very, very important, and in the very last chapter, that is chapter number 32, we will again revisit all this when we will study about Maxwell's equation. So now ultimately we have got that Ex is this much, Ey is this much, and this is this much. Okay. Now what is this del operator and what it is going to do? Let us have a look. Now your del operator is this one. Do you know what is an operator? Yes, anybody who knows or who can define what is an operator? Yes. Anyone? Hello? Am I audible or not? Am I audible? Yes, everybody, am I audible to you or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, please respond.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So what is an operator? Tell me. You must have heard about operator and operand,
Yes.
right, from your school. Yes, tell me.
Sir, it performs operations.
Okay, that means, for example, your plus, minus, division, multiplication, all of them are operators. Plus, minus, division, then multiplication, all of them are operators. And they operate on operands. Suppose I will write A plus B. What does it mean? This means your plus is
A
the
and B
operator
operand.
which is
Yes, sir.
operated on two operands A and B. Okay. Similarly, I have also some other operators which operates only on one operand. Can you give one example? Yes, can you give one example in which there is give an example of an operator which operates only on single operand? Yes, who will tell me? Yes, there are multiple numbers. Yes, tell me. What about this one? What about this one? What about this I operator? So you have studied all these things. Suppose I will write 4 root over of 4. What does it mean? That means 4 is the operator, single operand, and the operator root over is used to give a value of 2. Similarly, if I will write 8 to the cube root, then it is going to give you 2. Now what is this I operator? I operator means, suppose I will write I and I will draw x plane and y plane. Suppose I will say that this one is 5. This one is 5. If I will write I into 5, then the 5 will be rotated by 90 degree in the anti-clockwise direction. So this is also a operator known as an imaginary operator in the Argand plane. Okay, I'm sorry, we have crossed our time. Okay, fine, we'll stop over here. Now today we are having our lab. I'll try my best to take the lab at 2 o'clock. Maybe I will join you at 2:30. I will complete this chapter, then I will show you the video, right? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I may not be able to take the entire lab because I have to go to the hospital to admit my sister in the COVID hospital. So they have given me the time at 3:30. Maybe from 2:30 to 3:30 I can take your class and the video I can play. So please cooperate with me.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your cooperation. And please be online. Let me take the screenshot. Okay, thank you. So let us meet at 2 or 2:15 like this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. जा चुके हैं.